Hi there, welcome to another exciting episode on Make It Legal. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be talking about a very important subject, and that subject is something that is not well talked about in Ghana, but it is legal in Ghana, but we don't talk about it so much. But I want to ask three questions. Would you want to get pregnant with someone's baby and give birth to that baby for them? Would you want to take a fee to carry someone else's baby for 9 months and give birth to the baby and just hand it over to them and go away? Do you want to have a baby of your own, but you don't want to adopt one or give birth to one naturally? Well, if the answer to any of these questions is yes or no, then this video is meant for you. If you do not have any answer to these questions, you send me this video to tell someone who has the answer to this question or to understand what we are going to talk about. We are talking about surrogacy in Ghana. I am Godwin Selassie Dakpo, and this is Make It Legal. Make it legal. So if you are new to our channel, please do us a favor by subscribing to the channel and like this video, and do share it as well. We are talking about surrogacy in Ghana, and this is a term that may be new to some people, but for some people it's something they are familiar with. Now, whether you are familiar with it or not, I think you may not be familiar with the legal requirements of surrogacy in Ghana. We'll talk about that in this video because it is a concept that has been practiced in Ghana for many years, but until recently, we do not have a proper legal framework on it. Now we do, so we'll talk about it. So what is surrogacy? So there is a law called the Registration of Births and Deaths Act 2020 at 126. Registration of Births and Deaths Act 2020. So when people die or people are born, we register their birth. We also register their death. That's what we have: death certificate and birth certificate. So the institution responsible for registering your birth and your death is Birth and Death Registry. So they are regulated by an act or a law called Registration of Births and Deaths Act 2020 at 126. And that act, in a definition section, defines surrogacy as an arrangement where an embryo formed from an egg and sperm of persons other than a surrogate mother and her partner or husband is implanted into the surrogate mother. So the embryo formed from the egg and sperm of couples or of people who are in relationship or partners. So a husband and a wife, they have the wife's egg and the husband's sperm allowed to fertilize and to produce an embryo, or to get to the stage of an embryo, and that embryo is implanted into the womb of a woman we call a surrogate mother, and that surrogate mother will carry that embryo to grow to become a baby for 9 months and then give birth to the baby. When she gives birth to the baby, she will hand the baby over to the parent, the intended parents, and that arrangement is surrogacy. That is just type 1. Now, the law continues to define surrogacy as an arrangement where a garment from a person other than the partner or husband of a surrogate mother is introduced into the surrogate mother to fertilize the egg of that surrogate mother, to enable the surrogate mother to carry the fetus for a period of pregnancy and give birth at the end of the period on behalf of another woman or intended parent. This time around, they take the garment or the sperm of the intended parent's husband or partner. They take the garments or the sperm of that person, introduce it into the womb of the surrogate mother so that it will fertilize the egg of the surrogate mother. That's another form of surrogacy the law permits, and it's also a definition of what we call surrogacy in Ghana. So there are two forms, as I've explained. So one involves the use of the surrogate mother's egg, but the other involves the use of the egg and sperm and put in another person's womb. That is surrogacy in Ghana. And that arrangement, that practice is legal in Ghana. So if you want to have a child of your own, but you don't want to have a pregnancy or you don't want to adopt a child, then you can do surrogacy. These definitions have brought into bear what we call the types, the two types: the traditional surrogacy. Then we also have a type called gestational surrogacy. Now, people have also talked about some other forms. We have a form that is commercial surrogacy, where the surrogate mother is doing it as a business, and all she's doing is to go around getting pregnant for people, delivering the child for them and then go away, and he or she gets paid, and it's quite a decent amount of money, but I don't know whether it is worth the period of pregnancy and the fact that you will not have the child that you've carried along. When the child is even born, they will immediately separate the child from you so that the child doesn't get bonded to you. They will try to ensure that the child rather get bonded to the intended parent who do not even carry the baby. So they'll try to do that separation immediately the child is born. So once you give it to the child, it's like you are out of the scene. Everything is targeted at getting you not to be bonded with the child. And it's a very emotional thing. But if you are in for it, you may be a commercial surrogate and be doing that and be making money out of it. There is also another form we call altruistic surrogate or surrogacy. That one, the surrogate mother is not paid. It's often done among relatives where you know that your brother's sister or your husband's sister or family relative is not giving birth to a child, but they seriously need a child and you want to help them. So you make yourself available and they get the sperm and egg and implant it to you as a cousin or niece, and you carry the baby and you give birth to them. So that is also permitted. And so how does the process start? How do I get to start? Do I just look around and find a lady around who is willing to carry a baby for us and do the stuff and get a baby into her? Is how it is? Well, because it is defined as an arrangement, it is largely privately arranged. So you have to first have a surrogacy agreement. Very, very important. In fact, without surrogacy agreement, you are in for trouble. If you're not careful, you'll have issues. So you need to have a surrogacy agreement. Surrogacy agreement is an agreement that spells out the terms and conditions of the surrogacy. If the person is going to give birth for you and you take the child and it becomes your own, what are the terms? What are the conditions? At what fee is she doing this? How much will you be paying her for being a surrogate mother? Will there be monthly fees? We are also concerned about the condition of the child. So what kind of food should she be eating? Can she smoke? Can she drink alcohol while she's carrying your baby? If all those will have an impact on the baby, then you need to agree on the terms. Where will she be staying while she's pregnant? Should she go and stay in her Zongo place, or should be staying in a place in your building or in your apartment? Are you going to rent a place for her to stay? All of those things must be spelled out in the surrogacy agreement. If you are new to our channel, please do us a favor by subscribing to the channel and like this video, and do share it as well. We are excited to read your comment in the comment section. So drop a comment and let us know what you think about the video. If you have questions, also drop them in the comment section and we'll respond to each and every question you ask. We are glad that you are part of the family and we are excited to have your support. Thank you. Before she carries a pregnancy, will there be psychological evaluation and medical examination of her conditions? Should she be found to be well psychologically, medically, mentally before she starts the process? All of those must be spelled out in a surrogacy agreement so that you sign it and those things are done. If they are done well and every result shows positive signs, then you begin the process. So you have to also include in the surrogacy agreement issues having to do with what kind of clothing should she be wearing during the pregnancy. You can include that. Should she be having sex while she's pregnant with your baby? You need to agree on that. Sexual activities must be defined. Maybe she have to have sex when she's pregnant with your baby because of certain things. You need to be clear on that, because sexual intercourse can bring a lot of things, can bring diseases to the baby. So should she be bound or prevented from having sex during the 9 months period? All of those things must reflect in the surrogacy agreement. What happens if the surrogate mother dies before the baby is born? Or what happens when at the time of delivery of the baby dies or the surrogate mother dies? What happens? So all of those must also be in the agreement. And again, you need to also indicate clearly whether there will be some medical expenses that you'll be covering for the child or for the pregnancy. Who pays for the care at the hospital facility? Pregnancy comes with all kinds of issues. If she has to go to hospital at night, who will she call? Will you attend to the medical bills, or she will take care of all of it and get paid monthly for all her troubles? So a lot of other things come to play once you agree to do surrogacy, and you have to include all of those in a surrogacy agreement. When it comes to delivery of the baby, will there be cesarean section? Maybe the surrogate mother will say that I do not ever want to go to CS. I want to have a natural delivery. If it's not going to happen, then if the baby will die, the baby must die. You have to agree on all those things because they can come to play. Now, you also have to agree on parentage. it is true is surrogacy, at the end of the day, it is expected that the surrogate mother would hand over the baby to the intended parents. But you need to agree on it, specifically in the agreement, so that the surrogate mother will not just say that, hey, the baby looks so beautiful, I didn't know this is how she will look like, so I cannot let her go, I cannot give her to you. No, you need to agree from the onset that this baby you are carrying is going to be ours. We are going to be the father and mother or the parent of this child, even though you are the one carrying it. It may be the egg of someone who is not your wife, or the sperm of someone who is not your husband, but you can be the intended parent. Maybe your sperm is not right, your egg is not right, but you want to have a child of so and so's egg and so sperm. You can put all those together, put in another woman, and have the child. That is permitted. But at the end of the day, you must have an agreement as to who become the parent. The parenting must be well defined in the agreement. So the process commences with surrogacy agreement, and these are some of the things that you need to put in a surrogacy agreement as a mandatory requirement. It's not as if they are not in agreement, your surrogacy will not be valid, but you have extreme difficulty with the implementation of the whole surrogacy arrangement. An important question people ask about surrogacy also is, when do we become the parents of the baby? I mean, is it from the time the embryo is introduced into the womb of the surrogate mother, or when the child is actually born? Now, the law is that within 12 weeks after introducing the embryo, or after introducing the sperm into the surrogate mother, you have to apply to the High Court for what we call pre-birth parental order. Now, by that application, you are asking the judge or the court to recognize you as the parent of the child that is yet to be born. And you need to declare that that child would become yours, you become the parent, because you are having a surrogacy arrangement. So you need to make an application within 12 weeks after introducing the garment into the surrogate mother or implanting the embryo into the surrogate mother. Then you apply to the High Court and ask the High Court that recognize us as the parents of the child that this surrogate mother is carrying. And the High Court would look at all the evidence and also assess your surrogacy agreement, because that is important to give an assurance or to give an evidence to the judge that this parentage you are seeking to have is as a result of some surrogacy arrangement you have with the surrogate mother. When the court grants the order, the pre-birth parental order, I mean, they'll give a copy to you, the surrogate mother, they'll give a copy to the intended parent, and also give a copy to the district registrar of birth and death registry. So that is very important. So without that order, you may not be recognized as a parent of the child, even though you have a surrogacy agreement. Of course, you can sue the surrogate mother for breach of contract or for refusing to give you the child and all of that. But why go to that extent when you can apply for pre-birth parental order? I mean, this is something that lawyers assist with. If you want an assistance, you can always get in touch with a lawyer of your choice to assist you. But it's not every lawyer who is well versed in surrogacy issues, so you need to get a lawyer who has expertise in this area. And then you also would work with some surrogacy agencies or practitioners who are not lawyers, but they work with law firms and they do the arrangement together and all of that. So you can always seek an expert opinion on these procedures. What happens if the application was not made for pre-birth parental order before the baby is born? So the baby is born and no application is made for pre-birth parental order. The law is saying that the surrogate mother will be presumed to be the natural mother or parent of the baby. What if we've not applied for the order and the child is born already, no order is made for, but I still want to be the parent of the child? Now, the law permits you to also apply for post-birth parental order, also to the High Court, where you show that indeed you had some surrogacy arrangement. That is why this surrogate mother has given it to the child, and the child belongs to you. You're supposed to be the parent, so the judge should give you post-birth parental order, and by that order, you become the natural or legal parent of the child. So that is very important. You can always apply for pre-birth parental order or post-birth parental order. You only apply for post-birth parental order if you are unable to apply for pre-birth parental order and the baby is born. So that is important, but crucial in all of this is the need to seek legal advice and expert guidance in the process, and also ensure that you always have a surrogacy agreement, and lawyers can always draft that agreement for you, recognizing all the terms and all the conditions of the surrogacy arrangement. When all of this is done, you will be recognized as a legal parent of the child, and you can register the birth of that child as your child. So you, in the birth set of that particular child, you, the man, will be recognized as a father, and your wife or the woman will be recognized as a mother. So you become a natural parent, and the surrogate mother will not even appear on the birth set at all. Be the one recognized as a parent. So that is how you can have a child of your own without adopting one or naturally carrying a pregnancy to give birth to one. I am Godwin Selassie Dakbo, and this is Make It Legal. Make it legal.